Welcome back, folks. My name is LastKnownMeal, and today we're going to be talking about Cyberpunk 2077 in Unreal Engine 5 because over the past 2 days I've been getting a lot of requests to cover this video because there is actually like a video which showcases like the reimagining of Cyberpunk 2077 in Unreal Engine, and basically some of the best shots that you can actually see in that video are coming from Saher Tariq. So I went to his channel to actually look at what he has to offer here, and also I'm going to leave all of the links down below so you can check out his art station and his channel, so you can basically like look at more of what he does. So one of the first things obviously we can see here is how incredibly crazy well this looks when it comes to the atmosphere themselves. And there is no denying that Unreal Engine 5 is capable of producing insane graphics overall, but when it comes to demos and when it comes to everything, for example, which I had shown before, like other demos in particularly, those things are just demos right now, and it's actually difficult when you're trying to implement it specifically into a video game. So like here, for example, Tariq actually nailed what Cyberpunk City is supposed to look like. But if you look at Cyberpunk 2077, visuals, graphics, and the quality of those graphics are some of the strongest elements Cyberpunk 2077 has to offer. So when I think about this and when I look at this, yeah, it looks great. Don't think I'm hating on this. This is actually incredibly done, incredibly well put. But when we're seriously now thinking about Cyberpunk 2077, the problems of Cyberpunk and the minuses I gave to that game were mostly about interactivity and mechanics within the city itself, because, as I said, having this environment in an actual video game where you actually have to interact with everything else around you is a totally different story compared to actually like a scene being made and scene being rendered out and being shown. And obviously you had a bunch of actual news sites going on immediately saying like, yeah, look at this is what Cyberpunk 2077 was supposed to look like. I mean, it looks like it right now. I mean, obviously Unreal Engine 5 is newer, and obviously engine, like Unreal can offer a lot more in that regard. That's why CDPR has switched to Unreal Engine 5 for the next Witcher game in the first place, and there is no denying that the next Cyberpunk game, when it comes out, is going to be in Unreal Engine 5. Of course, now, when we think about the customization availability of Unreal Engine 5, it's not just about graphics. And yes, Unreal does this, it's amazing, but at the same time, Unreal can also offer something else, which is what engines are used for, and that's different solutions when it comes to different mechanics within the game and how you interact with those mechanics. Because for me, it's always going to be most important that we have a video game where interactivity and just the immersion with the world itself is going to benefit a lot, and where you can actually feel like you are in the city itself. Obviously, when it comes to Cyberpunk, that's some of the issues that it suffers from, but if you look at the graphics of Cyberpunk, especially in Red Engine, which has a lot of good things in itself, obviously has a lot of bad things because, well, the game has a tendency to fall apart in this engine a lot. Like, the quality of those graphics is absolutely on par, and even if I check it out today, and for example from when it came out, these graphics in Cyberpunk still hold out, like the light and everything else when it comes to not just, light, but also art design and what makes, Cyberpunk 2077 being extracted, obviously from the source material of Cyberpunk 2020 and Cyberpunk Red and everything else. It's truly up there, and that's what's amazing about it. But obviously, when people look at this, they'll say like, oh, this is what Cyberpunk was supposed to look like. It can look like this, of course, but at the same time, it's not going to solve some of the issues Cyberpunk has. One thing is going to solve it is obviously more interactivity and more mechanics within the game itself. I also like in this shot, like for example, how vehicles go around and how they look overall, and just the reflections and everything in it. And I mean, yeah, that's one thing that I think Cyberpunk would benefit from when it comes to just the world itself, because density is a huge problem. Red Engine has a problem streaming properly to like your console, from the engine to your console or your PC in itself. So what's gonna be happening is that sometimes engine is going to say, oh, I'm not going to spawn anything because I don't want to damage the frame rate of people. That's why on last gen, you have, like, if you're playing on PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, you're going to have much lesser density of vehicles and people, because every time a vehicle spawns or multiple vehicles spawn, like NPCs, that's going to take a hit on the actual performance, because you will need like good good technology to be able to run this. That's why PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X obviously have that, but even then it's like you'll have a console which for example PlayStation 5 is going to be running full ray tracing on this and it's going to be 30 frames just because it cannot handle that. And when people say about you know, increasing FOV, it's not that easy, and I doubt that's gonna happen, because when you increase FOV in a video game, you'll have more things loading in, because your character's vision is actually gonna be looking at those objects. And how engines work is that when you're not looking at the object, or every single object which is further away from you is not going to be spawned in the like high definition, high texture. So as you slowly progress, it's going to like obviously be rendered out in a lot bigger quality than you would without you looking at it. So that's why on consoles, when you increase FOV, it's going to be a huge hit on your frame rate, and that's why they haven't done it. And I do believe actually Paweł Sasko confirmed that in one of his streams, but I couldn't find that specific VOD. But overall, that's my opinion on all of this. Like, it looks great, and obviously like Unreal Engine 5 is gonna be great when it comes to the next Witcher game, and especially when it comes to visuals. But obviously one of the biggest things is interactivity, and that's what I want to see from this. So yeah, that's it. I'm not hating on this, but it's just much more than it is actually when it comes to reality and when it comes to things you're gonna be actually getting, because some of these visuals and everything, they're not gonna be coming anytime soon. There's gonna be a good span of like 5 years until you get a game which is gonna be having this definition in Unreal Engine 5, and even then you have to think about that companies cannot push these things too crazy, because obviously you would limit yourself to like what small minority of people who have right now like PCs who are capable of pulling off something like this. So yeah, it's not just about graphics, it's also about gameplay, it's also about interactivity and mechanics which increase that immersion level. And hopefully in Unreal Engine 5, the game is not going to have issues where the city is going to feel dead in some areas and basically too alive in some areas. And yes, people will say it all comes to the part of the day. Not really. Like, sometimes Cyberpunk can really do that and just leave the place or some of part of the city very empty. So yeah, that's one of the biggest issues of Red Engine and how it was basically put. But that's also a reason why Cyberpunk is, well, expansions are gonna be using it, but everything else, CDPR is moving away from it. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to tell me down below what do you think about all of this. And tomorrow, obviously, I'll have a new video. We're gonna be looking at V Rising, a new game, a new survival game, which I've been playing for the past 2 days. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Also, don't forget to check us out on Twitter and Discord. And also, huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. This is LKM signing out. Stay classy, everyone, and bye-bye.